Hey YouTube, how's it going? So I haven't uploaded in a while because I've been working on this, plus I just don't know what video to upload. So here it goes. A little while ago, a channel called Nitpix made a video called Why Justice League is the Worst Superhero Film. And I've since then messaged the channel and asked if I could use the video to sort of do a rebuttal. I do feel the need to specify that this isn't me insulting the channel nor the video. I'm not using the video because the video is bad, but actually because the video is good and well made. I wanted to do a series of defending DCEU movies and was going to start with Man of Steel. I'd found a video, started editing, then I realized the video was so poorly made that it was impossible to really argue some of the points. This video is so well made that it's easy to rebuttal. I seriously enjoyed the video. I even hit the like button, which I never do, and I highly suggest you go to watch it. So, with that said, let's get started.
The gaping issues that make Justice League the worst superhero film of all time are clear from the very beginning. An opening scene primarily functions to establish the tone, build up the world in which the narrative takes part in, and possibly introduce the key themes. Justice League chooses to open with a child filming Superman from his phone. Nearly all the criticisms I had for Justice League are observable in this 1-minute scene. Superman has an uncanny valley-esque face, due to this being a reshoot. If you didn't already know, Henry Cavill was contractually obligated to keep his mustache for the filming of Mission Impossible. This meant that in all reshoots with Henry Cavill, he's had his mustache CG'd to look clean shaven. This makes it very difficult to distinguish what emotion Henry Cavill is trying to display. As though he sounds friendly and approachable, he looks irritated.
Meant to wind like a river. It comes and goes.
When me and my friends went to see this movie, we realized that some of our friends at Studio 24 were there too. We didn't sit with them, but we talked to them after. Not a single one of us noticed Henry's mustache. I'm not saying others didn't, but even now looking at it, I don't think it looks too bad. Does it look great now that I know about it? No. But Rogue One is great, and Tarkin is way more noticeable. Also, I find his look at the beginning to be fitting. He just had to help with a burning building, and he won't be smiling ear to ear. And his expression was clearly that of interest. He was listening to the children and thinking about what they had to say.
As the kids ask him questions, the boy filming somehow seems to magically grow to be the same height as Superman, with the camera angles starting low and slowly getting higher as the scene progresses.
I never noticed the camera change height, which is a good point, but honestly, if they would have kept it at a child's level, people would have complained and told them to move it up.
There's absolutely nothing that visually communicates anything about Superman's character, or his relationship with the people of Earth.
I think this scene does show his character and his feelings about the people of Earth. After stopping a burning building, a normal person would leave, but he stops and talks to interested children. He explains to them his culture and listens with interest. This would be the equivalent of when Spider-Man did the backflip for a hot dog salesman in Homecoming. They're trying to interact and have fun with their community.
When you look at the opening to Spider-Man Homecoming, another superhero film which starts with a first-person camera sequence, you see much more thought put into visual storytelling and the communication of core character traits. The child filming Superman sounds excited, but that isn't communicated with the motion of the camera work, which is smooth and professional, purely serving a function.
Again, people would complain if the camera was shaking. They would have told him to keep it still because they couldn't focus on what was going on.
Everything is stiff. There's no sense of this being filmed in a living, breathing world. Superman talks about hope, trails off, and stares into the distance. This doesn't set a tone for a fun action blockbuster, which is what I think this film is going for, as there's no music, and due to the fact that Superman died in the last film, the scene has a feeling of mourning. It's like this scene only exists to remind us that Superman is dead now.
The whole point of this scene is to be sad. It's supposed to show that people did love and look up to Superman, and they lost the beloved hero.
The scene opens with a criminal exiting a doorway on a Gotham rooftop, literally carrying a bag of swag. He turns to see Batman squatting on a building rooftop. At this point, when I watched this film in the cinema, everyone started laughing. This is our first shot of the Dark Knight, and a room full of people all giggled.
I always thought this was supposed to be a funny scene. Imagine being a criminal walking out and seeing a man dressed like a bat crouched down on the side of a building.
From here we get a scene showcasing Batman's agility and martial arts. It flutters between slapstick comedy and action spectacle, but in reality, a low-level thug like this geezer should have been pinned down before he could even comprehend Batman was there.
The whole reason Batman was going slow was to build up the guy's fear. When he did beat the guy and the parademon still wasn't there, he used him as even more bait. Batman wanted to stop the guy right away, he would have.
So if Batman's objective is to get this guy really scared, what's with all the prancing about? Batman as a superhero is supposed to ignite fear into the hearts of Gotham's criminals. That's what they were going for in the last film. Even the movement of Batman dangling a scared henchman off a high building has been done in many comics and movies before effectively.
Foe wouldn't kill me.
I'm counting on it.
Batman has been around for 20 years at this point in the DCEU. A thug, especially a professional, just seeing him wouldn't scare the thug. They would think that Batman is too old now and that they can take him. Plus, there have probably been numerous criminals who lie about escaping the Bat and saying he is too old and weak now. So a thug seeing him initially wouldn't be scared. Showing the agility makes the thug realize that Batman isn't just an old geezer but still a highly skilled vigilante, and that would incite fear.
But they can't end the scene without the blockhead thug directly stating the plot of the film to Batman, because intention to build up mystery and suspense doesn't exist. This film wants the audience to be spoon-fed the plot, and if that means making a hardened Gotham criminal act like a Superman fanboy, then in their minds it's worth sacrificing any suspension of disbelief.
It's 'cause they know he's dead, right?
Superman.
He's gone.
They had to add the criminal saying it because people didn't understand the Martha scene in the last movie.
The opening scene in Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, which was disliked by critics and audiences alike, is the end action sequence from Man of Steel, but this time from the perspective of Bruce Wayne. This builds on the world of the DC cinematic universe, linking the two films, but is also an incredibly fun action scene on its own, with huge set pieces and real sense of urgency and panic. We see Bruce Wayne's heroism as he runs into the ash of buildings to save civilians. The scene is tonally consistent with the rest of the movie, but most importantly, it establishes the conflict between Batman and Superman, which is what the whole film is about. In sharp contrast, the first action scene with Batman in Justice League has no sense of scope at all. It's Batman fighting one guy and then another bug creature. There was an opportunity to have Batman pursue the criminal through the gritty streets of Gotham, or make Batman and the alien scouts fly to a different location. It's just so rigid. It's clearly a set, and the whole thing is claustrophobic and cheap feeling.
Batman v Superman started out that way because it was establishing the rest of the movie, as you said. This movie was established by the Parademon. A creature not from this world just attacked Batman, and he makes it obvious that this isn't the first one he has fought. That establishes that an out-of-this-world threat is coming. Same with Avengers. Avengers starts with Loki taking over S.H.I.E.L.D. and establishing that an out-of-this-world threat is about to attack.
Next on the list is Wonder Woman, I guess. There's a colourful, heroic display of Wonder Woman rescuing hostages. She defeats the anarchist terrorist, who has a really confusing plan that involves detonating buildings. I don't know why they would give this nobody, who has nothing to do with the rest of the film, such an overly explanatory objective. The massive gripe with this scene is that later on in the film, Bruce Wayne will criticise Diana for staying in the shadows and hiding from a superheroine persona.
Superman was a beacon to the world. Why aren't you?
This establishing scene of Wonder Woman could have communicated hesitation or shyness on her side, a lack of wanting to save these people. Then it could be later reincorporated to, make what Bruce Wayne's saying actually make sense.
Shut yourself down for a century, so let's not talk about me moving on.
This would mean that at the end of the film, when we see her stop an art robbery, it would seem like she'd made a change, as opposed to her just going back to what she was doing anyway. Because as it is, Diana seems more than happy to change into her costume and save the day at the very start of this film.
What Bruce means by this scene is that she didn't stop and talk to the citizens. She still lives in the shadows because she shows up to help but nothing more. She doesn't check on the people after, she doesn't smile at victory to cameras, she simply shows up and does her job then leaves. Bruce is telling her to do what Superman did at the beginning and what she ends up doing at the end, getting the world to know who she really is.
Batman's grown a beard in the time it's taken to get to Aquaman, even though he has a Batwing.
A man can grow a beard in just a few days, and Bruce even says he's been looking for Arthur. He could have been in the town for a week.
Batman asks Aquaman if he can talk to Fish, who responds by back-flopping into the water, apparently indifferent to the destruction of the whole world. Oh, but before he does this, he lets everyone in the fishing village know Batman's secret identity.
Dressed like a bat. You're out of your mind, Bruce Wayne.
I mean, it's not like Bruce gives a shit anyway.
That doesn't necessarily mean he is Batman. And even if they do think that's what it means, who are they going to tell? 20 people in a small town supposedly saw Bruce Wayne when a man came out of the water and saved a fisher. Then the man said that Bruce Wayne was Batman, then dove back into the water. Sounds like something the whole world would believe. Also, we see the main guy there doesn't seem to be able to speak English. This is a possibility, unlikely but possible.
Why is there no motivation for him to sort out the situation independently? Why does he go straight to recruiting the Justice League?
He doesn't want to sort it out independently because he realizes he's getting older and can't do it all by himself. And like I mentioned before, he has dealt with a few of these creatures before the first one in this movie. He knows that random alien-like creatures showing up isn't a good thing, especially since the last alien that showed up almost destroyed Earth had it not been for Superman, who is dead.
Bruce Wayne is acting like he has no idea who Aquaman is. He acts surprised when it's revealed to him, when it's been established that he's seen images of him in both Suicide Squad and Batman v Superman, and in this movie. Is he pretending not to know for some kind of unknown weird advantage?
He wasn't surprised by it being revealed. He was surprised by his strength and was intimidated. If you're referring to when he was talking and acted like he didn't know which one Arthur was, it was because he didn't want to give away the fact he has files on Arthur. And probably not to give away the fact that he's Batman too soon.
Batman has a shave in the jet and talks to Alfred about assembling the rest of his team. It's here that Alfred says this line.
One misses the days when one's biggest concerns were exploding wind-up penguins.
And this is the point in the film where you realise that Justice League has no idea what it wants to be. It's almost impossible to imagine this version of Batman fighting wind-up penguins. This is a Batman who's previously been seen branding criminals with a bat logo as a way of signalling them out in prison.
Again, this is Batman 20 years later, and why wouldn't he fight the Penguin? Why wouldn't Penguin have wind-up penguins? It's not like Batman would be able to choose his enemy's weapons. All that scene was doing was saying that Batman at one point has already fought Penguin. That's it. It's not trying to be clever or funny, it's not even supposed to be lighthearted. All it's doing is saying that Batman used to fight normal baddies, but now he's having to fight aliens.
In both the Avengers and Justice League, the villains want to steal a cube. I thought it would be fun to compare two cube stealing scenes, which are structured basically the same way, but couldn't be further apart when it comes to hitting the mark. Both scenes start with a dangerous, powerful alien cube becoming active after years of inactivity. In Avengers, we have alarms going off, people running frantically in panic, there's high tension and an atmosphere of stress, whereas in Justice League, the Amazonians calmly walk to the cube, where all the warriors have their bows aimed at it. The air has a staticness, there's zero communication that anyone is nervous about the cube. The only way you can even tell that anything is out of the norm is through dialogue, which is performed like casual small talk. When Nick Fury gets to the cube, everyone is in a deep urgency to try and figure out what's happening and how they can prevent a disaster. The Tesseract is framed as something very potent.
Nope. All the Amazonians look nervous. Every single one that's face we can see looks worried. The only reason they aren't panicking or running is that they were trained at a young age to be warriors. Plus, they know what's going on. They don't have to test it.
All the bug creatures look exactly the same, and the Amazonians all look like different variations of Wonder Woman.
You mean to tell me all these women from the same place, who are all related, who are all trained from the same age to become warriors, and who all have standard issue weapons and armor look the same? Wow. It's almost like that's how that works.
As the leader of the Amazonians manages to take their cube and seal the cave with Steppenwolf inside it. However, in order to take the cube, it means the Amazonians have to hold back Steppenwolf in a way that makes him look like just a regular bloke.
Amazonians are extremely strong.
Also, as it's already been established that Steppenwolf can teleport, sealing the cave seems like a poorly thought out plan.
You complain that he is shown to be weak by a bunch of extremely strong people holding him back, but then complain when he breaks through a wall because he could have just teleported? Do you want to see his strength or not? Can't have the cake and eat it too.
We have a chase on horseback in Justice League, but they are lobbing the cube back and forth so much that you get the impression that it's weightless, devaluing its importance.
Again, extremely strong. So yeah, they can just toss it around.
Steppenwolf teleports away with the mother box, but we don't care, because we don't understand its significance and we don't understand the consequences.
I don't think you really need to know exactly what Steppenwolf's plan was or what the box did to know that a guy who's clearly bad wants something that has been locked up for years so no one can get it, implying it's powerful, to know that's probably not a good idea.
Avengers has a dynamic sound design, giving Loki a real sense of power. When Loki effortlessly throws a guy against a wall, you can hear all the bones in his body break. The CG'd combat that takes place in Justice League shows Steppenwolf throwing Amazonians around like rubber rag dolls. There's no sense of impact to the viewer. The sound design in no way seems concerned about painting a picture as to what is happening to the Amazonians. Steppenwolf swings his giant axe, smashing the Amazonians, but the sound effect they chose to use is just a generic artificial metallic sound. It's ambiguous whether that's a murdering blow or if it's just a graze for them.
Avengers uses generic bone-breaking sound when Loki kills someone. Good job, Marvel. It sounds great. DC uses generic sword-slicing sound. This is stupid.
The creative philosophy of Justice League seems to be trying to shove in as much exposition as possible in the shortest amount of time. There's never an attempt to surprise us with characters, nothing to be revealed about them, nothing for them to learn. Characters state exactly what they're thinking and feeling, and then the scene ends. It is always framed as just an overhauled exchange of information as the characters walk or stand. The establishing scene for Cyborg is a dull, lifeless one with him and his father. It's revealed that he was in an accident and his father merged him with the mother box as a way of saving his life. He stares into a microwave and asks his father basic, obvious questions.
Does anybody know I'm alive?
The accident was weeks, maybe months ago, yet he's asking his father questions as if this is the first time they're speaking since. There is no warmth between the two, which is what you'd expect to see with a loving father and son.
Cyborg and his father don't have a loving relationship. Cyborg hates his father for what he has done to him. He feels like a monster and that his father is Dr. Frankenstein. That is clearly shown in the scene.
Later on, his father gets kidnapped and Cyborg is desperate to rescue him, yet there is no effort to build any form of emotional connection in this scene.
Just because Cyborg hates his father does not mean he wants his father to die. When your parents embarrass you or make you feel awkward, you might get mad and not even want to talk to them, but it's not like you would be okay with them dying. Imagine that, but on a permanent scale and much worse. Cyborg can no longer live a normal life and he hates his father for that, but he doesn't hate him enough to the point of him dying.
Diana visits Bruce Wayne and they act like old friends. Neither of them have any secrets or are pitting on any kind of persona. Diana explains to Bruce why Steppenwolf wants the cube in a long Lord of the Rings-esque sequence. Which, if you think is good visual storytelling, I have news for you. You're a pleb. Because there is nothing stylistic about this scene. It is just assigned visuals to exactly what Wonder Woman is saying. It in no way asserts Steppenwolf as a threatening leader, since we literally see him run away from everyone like a big old pussy. It immediately cuts to the battle midway through. There's no build-up where we get a sense of Steppenwolf's vast army. We don't see any casualties, and the impression is that Steppenwolf was very easily defeated.
Flashback scene is bad because it doesn't show how strong Steppenwolf is. Complains about Steppenwolf easily defeating two different groups of lifelong trained warriors, each powerful in their own ways.
We're not watching big-budget superhero team-up films to observe meticulously thought-through original stories which challenge our perception and change the way we think about life. We come for the spectacle, to experience escapism, and for the joy of seeing our favourite heroes come together.
Nope. I'm not a child, so I don't come to movies to see flashing lights and cool fight scenes. I come to movies for deeper thoughts and darker tales. I prefer my movies gritty and darker because having movies always bright and colorful makes it seem like there's no risk, because everyone is happy all the time even though a big villain is attacking. This is a major flaw in the MCU. They like to make jokes, smile, and seem happy even though their city, planet, galaxy, or even universe is at stake. They shouldn't always be excited, but should be worried and concentrate on the matter at hand.
Now, Suicide Squad is shit.
Nope, Suicide Squad was great.
In Suicide Squad, each character has something different going for them. No two characters have the same skills or abilities, and at the start of the film, they all have separate objectives that define and separate them as characters. Harley Quinn wants to be with the Joker, Deadshot wants to see more of his daughter, Killer Croc wants a reduced sentence, Captain Boomerang wants to escape, Rick Flag wants to save his girlfriend, and Diablo wants to redeem himself. As the film progresses and the characters overcome various challenges, their objectives slowly change until we get to a point when they've gone from disliking each other to actually caring for each other in some way. This leads to them all sharing the same objective of wanting to save the world. This gives the film a sense of purpose, giving it a structure that we can emotionally connect with. With Justice League, the moment they're all in the same room, they're immediately sharing the same singular objective. They all merge into the same bland person, as there's never space to establish personal objectives for each character.
They all share a similar goal because, and I don't know how to express this enough, they are all superheroes. Cyborg is the only one new to it all. Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Batman have been doing it for a while. Barry is kind of new, but he has wanted to be a hero for a while. Cyborg just wants to be with people like him, who are different. They also don't all have the same goal exactly. Aquaman wants to protect Atlantis, which is on Earth, so therefore he is protecting Earth. Batman wants to form a team, not just for this, but future threats. Wonder Woman wants to protect humans, Flash wants a chance as a real superhero, and Cyborg wants to find a purpose for what he is.
But if stating why I think Justice League is the worst superhero film ever made wasn't controversial enough for you, I'm now going to argue that this is the worst Batman ever put to film. Yes, worse than George Clooney. At the start of Batman and Robin, Batman doesn't trust Robin. He's overprotective and controlling, but by the end of the film, he's able to trust and respect Robin as equal. This is a character arc. Say what you like about the cheesy dialogue, rubber nipples, and back credit card, but this is fundamental to any good story. Change, compromise, realization, and motivation behind character conflict. The Batman in Justice League starts the film wanting to build up a team to stop an alien invasion, and does exactly that. There's a scene where Bruce Wayne recruits Barry Allen, and there's this exchange of dialogue.
What are your superpowers again?
I'm rich.
It seems like the writers and directors went into Justice League with the mindset that Batman's skills and abilities entirely come from his wealth. The Batman in Justice League is not the same character from Batman vs Superman. This is not a man that evokes fear in criminals or is capable of research or deduction. His martial arts skills are never useful to the plot of the film. He's always stuck tussling with one bug creature while the rest of the team are able to cut through them like butter. Batman is never coming up with intelligent ideas and seems to lack basic cognitive abilities. Visually, he's flabby, and Ben Affleck seems to be completely phoning this performance in. When compared to his performance in Daredevil, you can see a lot of small details and looks that communicate the emotions of Matt Murdock. He's not a bad actor, but he is in Justice League because he has nothing to work with.
I don't exactly know how to argue what you said about Ben Affleck in this film because, quite frankly, it's just wrong. Batman's skill in the movie reflects everything I said and the whole purpose of him forming a team. He's no longer capable of fighting these baddies that are more powerful. He's too old and can't handle it as well as he used to, so he needs the team. As Bruce Wayne, he is clearly expressing a much more tired and worn out Bruce, one that is almost on the verge of giving it all up as Batman. He's not coming up with ideas because he's trying to show the team that they are just as important as any one person. I think he could have easily taken charge and made plans, but then they would have just thought of themselves as pawns to Batman. Instead, he lets them come up with their own plans for the team. You know, as a team does.
It's here that the Flash informs Batman that he doesn't know how to save people. Despite being seen saving people in 2 other movies, having a costume, and being well known enough to be on Batman's radar, this is apparently his first time saving a human being, and he needs to be walked through the process.
Flash has never been shown saving people. He's been shown stopping crimes, but he has never actually pulled someone out of a bad environment, and he was nervous about it. He was afraid he would mess it up and the person would get injured.
The conflict starts, and any hope of having good choreography with the heroes working together is completely lost. It's all shots of the heroes fighting in separate corners of the room.
They aren't working as a team at the beginning because they have no reason to. They don't know each other very well and have always been independent. By the end, they are working more as a team, but they also have their own specific duties they have to complete.
All the kidnapped civilians had been around the mother box in some capacity. Steppenwolf wanted to ask them all where the cube was, which means they can't smell the cube, but they can smell the energy that the cube rubs on people. Despite Cyborg being half mother box or whatever the fuck he is, they don't seem to smell him coming.
I will say them not smelling Cyborg is a really good point. I've never thought about that. I have no argument.
They take the mother box to the Batcave, where Bruce Wayne hypothesizes that the energy of the cube can be used to bring Superman back to life. He tells the team that they're not strong enough to defeat Steppenwolf, and without Superman, the world is going to be fucked.
We are not enough.
This leads to the only character interaction that holds any weight, as Batman thinks it's essential to bring Superman back to life despite the risks, but Wonder Woman takes on the stance that it's too dangerous. Ultimately, either of the characters could have taken these stances. These opinions could be switched around with the characters, and it would make the same amount of sense. Neither character has been defined to be for or against resurrecting Superman. Bruce Wayne seems to hold no guilt for his death, and was convinced the world would be better without Superman in the last film.
All throughout the movie, he mentions how Superman was a better person, that without Superman, the world is going to be at risk, and that he needs to form a team because of Superman being gone. It's kind of implied that the whole reason for him building the team was trying to redeem himself for letting Superman die.
Diana is the only character that knew about Steppenwolf before the events of the film, and has heard first-hand accounts of Steppenwolf's strength. If anyone was going to have doubts about stopping his plan, you'd think it would be her.
Diana wouldn't want to bring him back because of the fact that she's heard about the box and its power. She doesn't fully understand the box's power, but knows it's extremely powerful and dangerous. Therefore, she doesn't want to mess with it, especially doing something as risky as bringing someone back from the dead.
Batman brings in Lois Lane, hoping she'll bring Superman back to sanity, which thankfully works. Superman was fully ready to burn Batman's face off. There was no way of knowing how far gone Superman was. Lois Lane's life could have genuinely been in danger with this move. However, it's all fine because the script says it.
Batman bringing in Lois to stop angry Superman. Dumb. The Avengers bringing in Black Widow to stop angry Hulk. Sweet.
It's now time for the final act of Justice League, and honestly, it looks so bad at this point. The colors are obnoxious, everything is artificial. Just by looking at the original trailers, you can see how much was manipulated and changed in post-production. The action sequences that were shot were not intended to look this way, and as a result, the computer-generated backgrounds look like a garish trash heap.
The colors are so bright because the people complained BVS was too dark. I agree that the bright colors were ugly, but it seems like no matter what the DCEU does, people complain.
Steppenwolf has the same amount of charisma and character as Aquaman. There just isn't a character. He sprouts evil, generic lines about world domination and fear.
I will say I didn't mind Steppenwolf, but the original version, Snyder's version, went into way more detail about Steppenwolf and that he wasn't doing it for Darkseid or world domination, but instead he wanted the cubes because the essence of his mother was trapped inside and he wanted to free her. And at the same time, Darkseid wanted the cube. So Steppenwolf would please Darkseid but also free his mother. That's why they were called mother boxes. This was cut from a script and I don't think it was ever filmed. If it was, then maybe it'll be on the Snyder cut. Whenever that's coming.
Then, as everyone expected, Superman swoops in and disregards everything the team has been doing up to this point. Superman can do everything the other characters can do, but better. So all you're thinking is, why does anyone else need to be there? He saves more people than the Flash, he beats the shit out of Steppenwolf more than both Aquaman and Wonder Woman combined, and he separates the cubes quicker and more efficiently than Cyborg. He doesn't do anything better than Batman, because Batman doesn't do anything.
This is something I completely agree with you on. I wholeheartedly do not think that Superman should have been in this movie. It devalues a team, makes him look pointless when Superman just shows up and mops the floor with Steppenwolf, which was fighting two people and not really losing. He then saves more people than the Flash, does better than Cyborg at his job, and probably killed more parademons than Batman. I think they should have revived him in the film, but him not show up until the very end after Wave 1. They tell him he's late, and then he says a little snarky comment like, "What? And show you guys up," or "I figured you guys needed some practice."
As I laid out in the beginning of this video, these films are our Greek myths.
Well, I am almost done. The last thing I have to say is that this isn't the equivalent to Greek mythology. This would be the equivalent of Shakespeare plays. We don't worship the people in these movies. We don't think of them as literal gods. Remember, Greek mythology wasn't always mythology. It was religion. The equivalent of Greek mythology would be Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. If those religions ever stopped being worshipped, they would become mythology. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. It did take me a while to make, and I'm still working on it right now, obviously, because this is before I was done working on it. And go check out their channel, help them out, support them. They're really good guys, or it seems like they're really good guys. I've never personally talked to them. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. I'm going to leave in the description down below the link to their channel and their video. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble. You see, I don't know why I'm having so much trouble talking right now. But anyway, bye.